Tarek Patel here from SB Live. Another edition of the Southern Section Sit Down coming your way. I've got a coach in studio from Simi Valley, but he's won a lot more CIF championships before that. He's got 6 to his name. He's been to 10 CIF finals, but I know this man well enough. He probably remembers the 4 losses more than he remembers the 6 victories. Jim Benkert in the studio this afternoon. Thanks for coming in, Coach.
Always great to talk to you, Tarek.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. At the Daily News, I covered you for a long time. Now at SB Live, I've been covering your teams for about 10 years. But before we get into, the Tarek Benkert era, let's talk about the Jim Benkert era. And it really, I know you have a lot of coaching history. From the viewers that watch, I would say that most of it started at Westlake High School when you had your run there and you won your championships there. But before we even get to that, your origin story, where you grew up, how you got into football. Did you play yourself?
So interesting. So I played at El Camino Real under 2 great coaches, Coach DePonzio and Coach Giaconelli. Both have recently passed. But boy, did they lay the groundwork for not only me, but a lot of coaches that came out of El Camino Real. From there, I played at Pierce College. Enjoyed my time there. Then I started teaching and had an opportunity to go to Crespi High School in 1982 with Bill Riddell. And Coach Riddell was there for a year. Then he went to the USFL, and I continued to coach at Crespi and had a great experience at Crespi High School. Russell White, if you remember the 1986 championship game with Russell White, just a fantastic athlete and such. And so very fortunate to coach for a few years with Coach Riddell. Then in 1989, I applied for the job at Westlake High School and was fortunate to get it, and spent 26 years at Westlake High School from 1989 to 2015, and just really enjoyed it. And then a few years at Oaks Christian, and then this will be my 7th year now at Simi Valley High School. So still enjoying the run.
Yeah, fantastic. You won 4 CIF titles at Westlake, 1 at Oaks, and 1 recently at Simi Valley. Let's kind of go in chronological order here. So your first one at Westlake was in '99. You said you took over. Was your first season the '90 season of the fall, or '89 was your first season?
Actually, my first season was in 1989, and I think back to some really fond memories at Westlake High School. To my first game and my first win and things that happened at Westlake. It was really a great place to coach and a great community to coach in. I vaguely remember my first win was at Camarillo High School when we were our program at Westlake was 0-11-1. So we didn't jump, right into the win column. So
sure.
Just try to build that program, and we went into Camarillo, and the gate was locked, and so I made the whole team climb over the gate.
No way.
Into the field, on the field, and so we included a team doctor. We climbed over the chain link fence and in, because they didn't show us enough respect back then, not now, but back then, to unlock the gate so that we could get into the stadium. So we kind of catapult that into a 7-0 lead on our first drive, and we held on to win 7-3.
Wow!
So it was a great beginning, and I remember it fondly.
And if you don't, how old were you when you got that job?
I was 30 years old.
So you
actually 29. I coached my first game at 30.
How do you build an identity as a young coach in your first gig? How did you start to do that?
Thinking back to that, I was ill prepared for all the challenges of being a head coach, from the parents' issues to the choosing who's going to start and who isn't going to start. And I think I was fortunate in that Westlake at that time wasn't real competitive, so there wasn't a huge high bar that we had to reach.
You could only go up, basically.
Yeah, they hadn't made the playoffs in the 10 years before I got there, and so we took small steps, and we were able to make the playoffs our first year. And we were, I think, 4-5-1, and ended up making the playoffs, and then knocked off Arcadia in the first round. So I think that was a huge game for us to start turning the program around. And then we continued to build. It wasn't until 1994 that we actually won a league championship.
Okay.
So, it took 5 years to build that culture of the players and the parents and the community to really kind of turn things around. And then we started building on that.
So, like you mentioned, so it took roughly about 10 seasons for you to win your first CIF title, which is, by the way, fantastic. You ended up winning. You've got 6 for your name, but you've got 4 there at Westlake. A lot of coaches coach a long time and never even sniff a CIF championship. Clearly, you know what you're doing, Coach Benkert. You know you are a good coach. You're a great coach. I mean, that's just the truth. What is it that you maybe clicked in your mind? Was it maybe the staff around you? Something that you had just learned yourself? What clicked to then make you really the winning coach that you are, if you could pinpoint that?
Oh my,
it's okay to give yourself a little credit here. It's so okay. This is the platform to do it.
I think back and I think, to answer your question, when I was at Crespi, you learned how to work. I mean, back in the clipboard days and scouting, and you were a lower level coach when you first started, and you're off, sitting in the stands watching Loyola and writing down their formations and trying to do that. And even to the point of the 1986, I remember Coach Linz and I. Coach Linz had just retired at Moore Park High School, but we would mow the lawn because we wanted to make sure it was tight, so that Russell White could be able to run.
Sure, make it fast as possible.
A fast track. So I think to answer your question, we learned how to work, and we spent the time to be successful. And even now, I mean, my staff, I'm very fortunate to have one of the coaches that coached with me at Crespi back, Coach Doug Simonis, went on to Kahuku, built Kahuku, and has been a college coach, and most recently was a head coach at Occidental. But he's my defensive coordinator, and lives in Puerto Rico actually in the off season, and comes in for the season. And he brings that work ethic to the defense, and we spend a lot of time together, and the players do too. I mean, they work, and I think that most really great programs will tell you that they outwork their opponents, and that's what we try to do. We try to make sure that we're in the weight room, make sure we're in the meeting room, make sure we're on the field, and put the time in that we need to do to be successful. And I think it does pay. In the kids in this day and age, they want to be successful. They want to win.
Yeah, very much a hard hat and lunch pail approach, and I think that's foundational, and I think you'd agree with that. So you're at Westlake. Before we move on to Oaks, we're going to go through your coaching a little bit. Some of the standout players you got to coach at Westlake that really made the winning possible. Please share with us some of the guys, and you don't have to name them all, but maybe 2 or 3, or if you want to go more than that, that's fine.
Well, I mean, 26 years of great players. Great time. I think. Back in the early days, we had Todd Preston, really good quarterback. I was a sophomore when I got there, and ended up going to Cal and achieving some college opportunities. But I think the big turnaround when I was at Westlake was Billy Miller. Mm-hmm. And when Billy Miller was a young kid and trying to decide where he was going to go, and there was a lot of pull for him to go here, go there, and he was a local Westlake product. And I sat down with his family and said, just give me a chance, just give us a chance, and if you don't like what you see, or if things don't go well, then I totally understand that he would go somewhere else. And so his parents gave me a chance, and Billy came in and became, arguably the most highly recruited player out of Ventura County, and went on to USC and was drafted into the league by the Houston Texans at that time. And he scored the first touchdown in the history of the Houston Texans.
Yeah, expansion.
And so his jersey is in the Hall of Fame, for that first touchdown. So I think that was the big, it was so important to keep those kids. And now at Simi Valley, and I know I'm jumping around.
That's all right. That's all right.
But if you build it, they will stay. That's kind of our motto, is that we really want to build it so that the kids of Simi Valley have a program that they can go to, rather than choosing to go outside of our district. Now we're in the Marmani League. We play big time football, so it gives them an opportunity to stay in their public school. So that's really important to us in the building of our program.
You end up getting to Oaks Christian, which is different for those that don't know, Westlake's a public school. Then you go to Oaks Christian, and you were there for 3 years. Was it just 3 or just the 2?
3 years.
And so it's private school sector. Things are a little different, but boy, were you guys good.
It was a fantastic group of kids. I mean, many of them, a couple of them are in the NFL now, and I follow, many of them through their college and now in their business areas that they're in. It was just a great group of kids that we were fortunate to coach.
Of course, Kayvon Thibodeau, got to know him a little bit. I actually remember he was at Dorsey before he got to Oaks Christian, and I remember going to watch him play against Hawkins High School, and Jim Harbaugh was actually in town watching him. And I'll never forget my interaction with Jim Harbaugh. This was a Thursday night or a Friday night. The only reason I bring that up is because I know Jim Harbaugh, hey, I got to chum it up with him, and he couldn't have been nicer. Who you watching? I'm out here watching Thibodeau, and I love watching guys compete. That's what he told me. And I go, oh, are you sticking around tomorrow night? That's why I know it was either a Thursday or a Friday. I think it was a Thursday because I wouldn't have asked that. And he goes, yeah, I'm flying up to watch Najee Harris tomorrow. So it was just kind of cool for him to be in California and check out some of the best guys. And Kayvon Thibodeau was already that, and he was only a sophomore at the time. So he ends up being basically the number 1, number 2 prospect. And you coached him. Can you talk about what it was like to coach Kayvon Thibodeau and just how special he was?
Kayvon is one of those guys that come along very rarely, and he just had such a get off. He could attack, he could run, he was huge. He was the whole package. But I think more than that, he was very smart. He could handle the classroom. He could handle any aspect of his life. I mean, he was already setting goals for himself when he was in high school of where he was going to go, and he actually came back. I'm the president of the National Football Foundation in our area. And he came back and did a nice speech for us and really told those kids, concentrate on your academics, concentrate on what you do other than football, because those things are going to be forever. And, I was just so touched by him, not only, listening to Coach Benkert and calling me back and then coming to this, but also giving a great message to the football players that were at the National Football Foundation banquet. So, I can't say enough about him. He's the full package. From a great person. He's got himself set.
I do want to touch, because of course another NFL guy, and that's Zach Charbonnet. I think another one where tangibly, physically, he just was so fast and so strong in high school already. You just kind of felt like, okay, this guy's going to be special.
Yes. But he doesn't. Doesn't have the outgoing personality. No. And is very reserved,
introverted dude.
And he's a leader by his work ethic and by his example. He wasn't a verbal leader by any imagination. The opposite of Kayvon.
Yeah.
Kayvon was a verbal guy. So to have both those guys on the same football team, I mean, that was special. And I think I mentioned it to one of my coaches, I don't know, a few weeks ago. They say, do you watch the NFL? Well, I watch the NFL because I got 5 or 6 guys that played, and I watch them. Do you have a favorite team? Well, obviously you grew up as a Ram fan, so you watch the Rams. But Colby Parkinson now is playing for the Rams, who played the year ahead of those guys and played for me at Oaks Christian also. So it was a fantastic time. I think back to have nothing but fond memories with these players that played for me at Oaks Christian and what we achieved. Because I don't know. When you lose your starting quarterback and then, arguably one of the better receivers, Micah Pittman ended up transferring to Calabasas. People thought that we didn't have it, and to accomplish that CIF championship against a really good Valencia team. Really proud of what we did. Now
to Simi Valley, and I've written about it. We've talked about it, Coach. Hey, I think, let's be honest. Okay, Jim Benkert is going to he's going to keep coaching football, and he's going to, hold on, is this a typo? He's going to Simi Valley High School. And I'll never forget being on the phone with you and you got hired and you said, hey, Tarek, I got to build this thing from the floor up. And I'm not putting words in your mouth in a sense that you thought, oh, I'm going to show up and it's going to be great now. It's just, hey, man, I'm telling the truth. They haven't won a league title in a million years. They haven't had a winning season for however long. And you got them to a 10-0 season and a CIF final in the blink of an eye. So, you know, kudos to you, Coach, because Simi Valley football we don't really talk about Simi Valley football much, but now we do.
I was very fortunate. Most of my coaches came with me, so you know, it wasn't just me.
Yeah, it felt like home quick because of the It was
a combined effort by a lot of guys and a lot of things, and you know, we set our goals and put the bar at a point where we felt we could reach it, and we achieved it, and then we moved it higher and higher and higher. And that's what we do now. I mean, every year we put that bar a little bit higher. And you know, we were fortunate to win a CIF championship last year. We were in the right spot. We won 2 games in overtime, one in the last second, and one was close, and we ended up winning it. So we were right where we should have been from a CIF playoff
competitive
standpoint.
equity, the whole thing.
Competitive equity, right where we opened up as a 13th seed, and won in overtime. And, you know, so that it was where we were supposed to be, and now what's our next goal? You know, where do we go from here? Well, we want to compete with the privates in the Marmoni League. I mean, that's our goal. We want to compete with them. The privates have been the dominant aspect of the Marmonte League for a long, long time. Nobody wants to be in the Marmoni League. No public school wants to be in the Marmoni. Well, we do. We want to be in the Marmoni, and you know, again, back to our motto. We build it and they will stay. You know, we want those kids that are growing up in Simi Valley to play at Simi Valley and to have a place where they can play and feel like they can achieve, you know, right here in their local public school. So that's where we are right now, and we're moving towards that goal.
Ventura County has gone through a re-leaguing, just for the viewers out there, and the Marmoni League is the best league in Ventura County now, with Oxnard of Pacifica in there, but it's the St. Bonaventures, it's the Oaks Christians that you're alluding to with the private schools.
And Bishop Diego.
And Bishop Diego, that's right, up in Santa Barbara. So really, really, really tough league, and looking forward to seeing how you can compete in that. Switching gears here, Coach, you've been around high school football a long time. The landscape of high school football is a lot different. College football is different. Portal, NIL, the transfer era that we're in, the change of landscape in high school football the last even just decade.
It's not like kids have not been going from school to school. Back when I played, kids went from school to school. I think it's now that the stage of high school sports is so high, with teams, even our own, are playing out-of-state games, and you know, they have national rankings and state rankings. You know, back in the day, they didn't have all that stuff. I mean, you just had your local leagues, and you played against your league, and then, you know, hopefully you got into the playoffs. But it's nothing near what it is right now. I mean, the stage of high school sports is national now.
No, it is.
Not only is it statewide, but it's national. So I think, you know, parents are looking for that advantage for their kids, and whether it's right, whether it's wrong, I mean, it's the rules. So if they do it legally through what they're allowed to do within the rules, then they can go from school to school. If they don't, there's consequences. So, you know, I think that the rich get richer sometimes with the rules as they are, because of the big stage. People want to be on that big stage, and you know, for us at lowly Simi Valley, you know, we need to move to that stage so our kids can see that they can reach that by staying where we are. And so I think that, you know, we've come a long way at Simi Valley, and some of the other programs. I mean, look what Mission Viejo is doing. They've really elevated their program to compete with the privates, compete with the best of the best. Newport Harbor has had great seasons. Corona Del Mar has had great seasons.
Yes.
You know, Tesoro. I mean, there's a lot of public schools that are, you know, elevating their programs and are really reaching the highest levels of football, whether it be you know, I mean, the fact is we have to compete with the privates in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the reality. You know, you're going to run into one.
We played Crean Lutheran last year. They're a heck of a football team, and you know, the privates and the publics in the southern section are mixed. I mean, you don't see that in Texas. You don't see that in some other states, but in our area, they're mixed, and so you've got to compete. And you know, we may not have all of the resources that some of these public or private schools have, but you know, we try to build our program to the point where we can compete.
I'd imagine a lot of players, their goals is to play at Division I. I mean, that's like a dream for all these kids for the most part. And you're there to help them stay accountable to that goal, maybe even a dose of reality. Hey, you maybe need to start looking at like these kinds of programs, maybe not Division I, but Division II or even a Division III school. When you're having those conversations, are they difficult to have?
I don't limit my players on any level. I mean, essentially, every one of my players get opportunities to be seen by whoever wants to look at them. I mean, we put together recruiting sheets that go to all the colleges, and all they have to do is click on it to get their grade, and click on it to get their highlights, and click on it to get their, anything. I mean, we send it out all of our kids. So, I don't think that we restrict them at all. I mean, obviously the colleges they have their different standards that they're looking for, whether it be a 10-500 meters or a 6'6", offensive lineman. I mean, they have their parameters that they're looking for, and those aren't going to change. I mean, that's what they're looking for.
Sure.
They're looking for these type of genetics that maybe the kids don't fit that bill. But like I always say, there's always a place for you to play. If you want to continue to play the great game of football, there's always a place for you to go, whether it be a Division III program, an NAIA program, a Division II, a Division I. There's always things. But I also say be careful what you ask for, because if you want to go to Division I and you want to play the big time, you better be ready for the fact that they're going to recruit somebody the next year that they think is better than you. And so now you are going to have to make another decision, whether you're going to stick it out or whether you're going to be prepared to, compete, or you're going to run to another school. So, you just have to be careful what you ask for. I think sometimes the best level of football is one that you can enjoy the game, enjoy the sport at a level that you can play at and go to an academic school that you want to be at. So, chasing the dream is not always the greatest thing.
I wanted to ask you last add on kind of players. Can you give me the biggest difference between coaching high school football player X in the early 90s, mid 90s, and coaching football player Y in 2024? What are the biggest differences there, Coach?
Well, I don't think there's a huge difference with the kids, but there's a huge difference in what we do as coaches and what we're allowed to do. Back in the days when I first started coaching, I mean, 3-a-days was common. I mean,
wow.
we would go 3-a-days. Obviously, when I played, we didn't get water in practice. Now it's like there's no way that you wouldn't give kids as much water as they want. But I mean, 3-a-days, the hitting, the contact was much more back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, even when I played in the 70s.
And late in the season too, like you'd hit each other in practice in week 8, 7, 9.
Well, you play football back in those days. But now we play fast break basketball.
Got it. Okay.
In football.
I love that.
We in the last 20 years, we haven't put a player on the ground in practice in 20 years.
Wow.
We just don't do it because obviously the concussion has been huge at trying to prevent the concussions, to prevent the blows to the head. So we simply, we teach the drills,
Sure.
we teach them, but we don't allow our players to put anyone on the ground at all during practice. So that's a change. But the good part of that is a lot more kids and a lot more parents are allowing their kids, and the kids are playing football because it's not
getting pummeled every day.
They're not getting pummeled every day. So
Okay.
like I say, it's, we have a speed period during practice where we just run plays every 16 seconds and set the ball, and the kids catch it and run to the touchdown. Another kid gets in. So everyone's participating in practice. So everyone's learning. So, when guys are running down the field in practice for touchdowns, other guys are jumping in because now they get the chance to play and they get to run for a touchdown. And so, like I say, it's fast break basketball is what we do in practice right now. And then, we try to prepare them for the physicality of the game on Friday nights. And
how do you do that? Talk about trying. Okay, you're not hitting each other as much, but there's got to be an element of getting them ready for the physicality.
Well, we tried it.
Although it'd be difficult, it sounds like.
Yeah, it is difficult, but you know, we try to hit up on the we say hit up on air, which means that they're going through the motions without actually
like finishing through, kind of.
Yeah, they never tackle the ball carrier. He always scores a touchdown. So, you know, every
he's an All-American every day.
In practice, our running backs and our receivers and our quarterback, they're All-Americans.
Okay,
they never get tackled.
That's so funny.
But we hit up an air, so it means that they're supposed to go full speed and go through the motions of making that tackle. Back in the day, we used to teach, you know, you can't hit what you don't see, so you keep your head up and you lead with your head. You know, we don't do that anymore. Now it's you know, the roll tackle and the rugby style tackle of, you know, trying
more of a takedown,
keep the head out of the game. But you know, that's not what we used to teach. So you know, everything's different. From a standpoint of the laws restrict how much time we can be on the field. The laws restrict when it's hot how much time we can be on the field. The laws restrict, you know, how much we can be physical on the field. You know, there's laws now. And back, you know, 20, 30 years ago,
Wild West.
Like this.
Yeah.
So it's working for us at Simi because we got 150 kids playing football. So, you know, I think that parents are seeing that, you know, the football is not this, you know, pound every day in practice.
That's fantastic. Now, that's good stuff right there, Coach. As we start to wrap up, you've coached a lot of high school football. I've said that like 4 times this episode. Well, I got to ask, what's next for Jim Benkert? I mean, there's got to be, and I'm not putting you on the spot, hey, give me your retirement date, and nothing like that. But you said it yourself at Simi Valley, it was the next challenge. It was the next journey. Are you still waiting around for that? Or maybe you kind of know what that next journey is?
Well, I tell you, there's a couple things. First off, you know, we're building it with our young guys. I mean, we start 3 freshmen, 4 sophomores, you know, like 10 juniors. So, I mean, these guys are there for the program and for what we've built. And, you know, I have no thought process of walking away from something so special. And the parents have believed in our staff and what we do enough to allow their kids to come there. And, you know, for that, we have to be loyal to them, you know, that they're coming and being part of our program. And, you know, I love it. I still love the Friday nights. I still love the you know, I call the offense. I do all the practice plans. So I still love it. I don't teach day to day anymore. So
okay.
I'm retired except as a football coach. So I essentially have something to do. So
gotcha.
You know, I'm just grateful that they keep having me back. So I have something to do. And I think the second part of that is I just enjoy now watching my grandkids grow up as football players and flag guys. And so JJ and Eric are now playing flag football.
And how old are they?
They are 7 and 5.
Love it.
And Grandpa has to go out and stand on the sidelines and watch them play football. So as a football coach, they know I'm a football coach. So, you know, it's kind of a family affair. You know, we're all together. I coach, they play, and they're proud of me as a coach, and I'm proud of them as players. So I think, you know, I have no plans to ever. I think, you know, I'll be there for a long time.
I love it. I love it. Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming in. You've got 307 wins now to your name. It sounds like there's a lot more coming. Simi Valley is rolling. You got Marmani League play coming up. Things are looking good for the Pioneers. Congratulations to you.
Always great to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. That's another episode of the CIF Southern Section Sit Down. I'm Tarek Fattel. We just had Jim Benkert on from Simi Valley High School. Be sure to tune back in for more episodes. Don't forget scorebooklive.com, scores, stats, information, schedules, all the good stuff pertaining to high school sports nationwide. Thanks for watching.